Good evening, everyone. So we are again back with the next important session that waits for none, and that is time. So we need to learn how to manage your time. Today, I'm going to take a very small example, which most of us might be knowing, but still, as it is related to time management, we are going to start with that example. But before that, I just want you to have a look on the four quadrants of time management. Though we have already done this earlier, in this four quadrants, it is divided into 1, 2, 3, 4 different things. That is quadrant 1, that is urgent and important. Quadrant 2, that is not urgent and important. Quadrant 3, that is urgent but not important. And the quadrant 4, that is not urgent, not important. But in our lives, we have more time, more place for quadrant 4 rather than first, second, and third. Your priority should be in the quadrant second, that is important task, which doesn't turn to be urgent. If you leave the things left unattended in quadrant second, that is important, that shift your focus from quadrant second to quadrant 1, making it urgent and important. So here, this is very important for you to understand the importance of these four quadrants and how we can manage our life effectively, efficiently on basis of allotting the work, dividing the work into four different quadrants. Now, as we have four quadrants over here, that is urgent and important, not urgent and important, urgent but not important, and not urgent, not important. So today we are going to play with four different things, that is salt, that is sand, rocks, pebbles, and water. Now, how we are going to play about that? What does that mean? Why I'm bringing that? You will get the answer to all the questions once you watch this video. So here's a professor who's here with you to share a story of rock, pebbles, and sand. But before I start the story, tell me how much the sand is very small, right? If we put sand in something, there's no space for anything, right? Pebbles are bigger than that, and rocks are the very big stones. That's right.
About a university professor who wanted to make a point about how we make the most of our time. The professor stood before his class with some items in front of him. When the class began, without speaking, he picked up a large empty jar and proceeded to fill it with rocks about 2 inches in diameter.
The professor used an empty jar, a jar which was fully empty, which was not having anything in it. What did he do? He just put some pebbles into it. Now, when he has put some pebbles into it, what do you think? Is there any space left? No. Is there any space left? Can you see any space in that pebble? Yes, the answer comes out. The answer comes out to be no. So see, I also have this empty jar, full empty jar. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put some big stuffs in it, like I have these chocolates. Let's consider these chocolates to be the stones, rocks. So I'm putting that into it. The jar looks to be full. Same what he's having. The jar is full. Now, what do you think? Can we fill anything else? No, the most of the time the answer which we get is no, the jar is full. Let's see.
He then asked the students if the jar was full. They agreed that it was full. So the professor then picked up a box of pebbles and poured them into the jar.
Now, see, I have some small pebbles, some small things. If I'm going to put it into this, see, again, I could manage to put all the stuff in it, though you said that the jar is full, but I could manage to put them into this. So here it is again. Now, if I ask you, is the jar full or empty? Right, seeing the jar, it looks to be full again. Yes, it looks to be full. There is no space now. See, these chocolates are the rocks. These candies are the pebbles.
Shook the jar lightly and watched as the pebbles rolled into the open areas between the rocks. The professor then asked the students again if the jar was full. They chuckled and agreed that it was indeed full this time.
With a lot of confidence, all the students told that yes, the jar is full now this time. There is no scope for adding anything in this jar now. What do you think? What should I do? Should I close the jar as there is no space left? See, when I put the rock into this and I just shake this thing, so these small pebbles, they could manage to find space in between the rocks. Same way, can I?
The professor picked up a box of sand and poured it into the jar. The sand filled the remaining open areas of the jar. Now, said the professor, I want you to recognize that this jar signifies your life.
I have few small particles, the smaller ones. If I'm going to put it into this will again adjust in this jar in between the space of these pebbles and the rock. So this jar signifies your life. You can just think this jar as your life. Your life is this jar. Now, when you consider this life, your life is empty. It's as empty as this jar. Now you have to put in the work from all 4 quadrants into this jar. The rocks. Let's see what does that. Now this rock.
The rocks are the truly important things such as family, health, and relationships.
Truly important things, that is your family, health, relationship, and your career. Consider this jar to be your life and these rocks to be the most important things in your life.
If all else was lost and only the rocks remained, your life would still be meaningful. The pebbles are the other things that matter in your life, such as work or school. The sand signifies the remaining small stuff and material possessions. If you were to put sand into the jar first, there is no room for the rocks or the pebbles. The same can be applied to your lives. If you spend all your time and energy on the small stuff, you will never have room for the things that are truly important. Pay attention to the things in life that are critical to your happiness and well-being. Take time to look after your health, play with your children, go for a run, write a letter to your grandmother. There will always be time to go to work, clean the house, or watch TV. Take care of the rocks first. The things that really matter, set your priorities. The rest is just pebbles and sand.
I just wanted you to understand the story and how we can relate this story with this is. You need to fill your life, you need to fill your day with the most important task of the day, that is your relationship, your preparation, your planning, your goals, your improvement in any specific area. You need to fill the jar of your life with those important things. If you will fill up your life with the 3rd quadrant, that is some phone calls, some meetings, busy work, diversion, time wasters, talking and chatting to your friend for a longer duration. If you fill your box with that sand, if you fill your life with these non-urgent and non-important works, then you have no room left for the urgent and important things of your life. is very important for you to understand that these urgent, these important things should be the first and your foremost priority to start your day with. The planning, the preparation. So don't put those things on prior. Zero things, zero results in your head. First, second thing is you need to understand what is urgent and what is important. You need to put your focus on urgent and important things then. The pebbles, the small pebbles, those were the urgent and important things. Now they will somehow manage to enter into your life jar because the space, the time you have with in between two different important activities, they can adjust there. They'll find some room and they will adjust. But those pebbles, those rocks, they cannot be adjusted if your time is already been invested in those not urgent, not so important tasks. So let's just have a detailed understanding about all the four things. Here, after filling the sand, you still have scope to pour in some water and get that thing filled. So that is how we say that this story, you can relate this story with your life to understand how these four quadrants are important to manage your life. So in the last section, we just started with maximize the power of productive journal. How you can maximize the power of your productive journal is plan the night before. You need to have the plan ready with you, that what you want to do, what you want to achieve, how you are going to do that, what is your next day plan, each and everything, what you are going to do your next day. You should make that plan ready a night before. Don't wait for the day to start and then start planning out the day. In the race of planning out the day on the same morning for which you are planning, you simply waste your most important hour, the most important time in which you are full of energy, you are fully energetic. That time is simply wasted in preparing your schedule. This should be done in the night, a night before your next day, because night is a time when you don't have full energy. Okay, you're not doing something really productive, so that with less energy also you can plan your next day. So make sure you're always ready with your plan for the next day, a day prior. Keep your journal with you. Once you have made your journal, make sure the journal is in front of you the next morning when you wake up. Reason being, if you will see your journal, you will know that yes, these all tasks I have to do it today, and you are going to manage your day in that way only. You're not going to waste your time in any time wasters. You're not going to allow the time wasters to enter your schedule. Sense of satisfaction. You will get sense of satisfaction when you finish of the task. Just think that today, if you were supposed to do 3 different activities, you were supposed to prepare your assignment, and today, by the end of the day, that assignment is ready. By seeing that, don't you think that you will feel very satisfied? You will be happy. You will get that satisfaction that at least today I did something. Seeing that satisfaction, that is again going to motivate you to do something the next day. Remove task postponed 3 times. Just keep on checking your journal. If you find any task which you have been postponing for more than 3 times, like today you were supposed to do it today, again you couldn't do, you have added that in your tomorrow's list. Tomorrow you couldn't do, you have added in your next day list. And this is how we have seen that the same task is taking an hour of my day every day, and still I'm unable to complete that thing. I'm again and again postponing. There is something wrong either with the task or with you. Try to figure that out. If you think that no, this task is not that very important, it is simply consuming my time, just remove that task from your to-do list. Now here, that doesn't mean that if you think that today I was supposed to study, prepare for my maths exam and I couldn't do that today, so for tomorrow I have kept, tomorrow again I have postponed it to the after tomorrow, and again I did the same thing, so I can remove that task. No. That task is important. Okay, you cannot remove that. You need to, before removing that, you need to understand the importance of that task, that how important that task is. Is that task so important that you cannot avoid? If you avoid, that will move to urgent and important task, then only you are supposed to remove that task. Or else you can do one thing, you can keep a gap of 2-3 days, a week gap, and then add that same task in your to-do list if the task is very important. In this, one more important thing is when you are planning your day, make sure you are starting your day with the most important and the biggest task of the day, so that by the time your half day passes, you have achieved at least 50 to 70% of your to-do list. Not in terms of the task assigned, but in terms of the quality of work which you were supposed to do. Don't go with the quantity, you have to check the quality first. So by doing these things, you can maximize the power of your productive journal. Now here we will be studying how to maximize the productive. We'll just study in detail the story of rock, pebbles, and sand story, which we have seen right now. So here you have 4 different things, that is rocks, pebbles, sand, and water. If you fill in the water first, what is going to happen with the jar? Will there be any space to put the sand, pebbles, or rocks? If you fill in the jar, there will be some space where you can somehow manage the sand, a bit of sand to adjust in that, but there will be no room, no space left for the pebbles and the stone. If you put the mud first, there will be some space for your water to go into it, but there will be no space for the pebbles and the rocks. If you do it, you start with the rocks, there will be no, you start with pebbles, there will be no space for the rocks. So, seeing this, what we have seen in the story, always start with the rock. If you want to fill this jar, I'm not relating this jar with your life right now. I'm just taking a generalized example. Like if you want to fill anything, if you want to fill this jar with these 4 things, make sure which thing is going to take lot of space and which cannot be adjusted later. Okay, maybe the pebbles also take a lot of space, but that can be adjusted later in between the spaces. So seeing this, I can say that these rock are the things which should be inserted, which should be kept first in this jar, because they require big space. They require space to adjust, to settle. So we'll start with the rock. Once we fill the rock, the jar will somewhere look like that this is full. But if we are going to insert the next thing, that is pebbles, pebbles will somehow manage to find space between these rocks. You know, the rocks are very big. So when you are putting rocks, in between the rocks, there's going to be lot of space where these pebbles will adjust. Now, once you add the pebbles, still you will see that now it looks to be full, but it actually is not completely filled. So then you can fill it with the sand to cover that space which you can still see in this chart. Once you put the sand, it will look to be filled, but by adding water, you will see that water again is somewhere making its space to adjust in that jar. So that is how these 4 things if we are putting them in a proper sequence, we can put all these 4 things in this jar. But if we change the order, if we do it randomly, like whatever comes in our hand, if we start doing that, maybe there will be no room, no space left for anything. At least for rock, if you start with any other thing, for rock, there will be no space left. So let's relate this to our life. This jar is our life. This jar is the 24 hours of our day. First, let's relate it with the 24 hours. Now, in 24 hours, you have some important tasks of the day. Those important tasks are the rocks. You have some other tasks that are not so important or not so urgent that comes in quadrant first. So those are the pebbles. The next task that comes in quadrant 3 are the sand, and the quadrant 4 is the water. If we are going to start off with the water, what we exactly do that we want to finish, like in the morning we wake up, we see our phone, we want to revert back to all the messages. If there is a missed call, we want to revert to that missed call. We want to see watch television, we want to roam here and there. Those are all the not so urgent and not important tasks. We spend the time, we start the day with that. You have to stop that habit of starting the day. You have to look into your to-do list and see which activity of the day is the rock. Find out all the rocks in your to-do list. Once you find out those rocks, start your day with that. Fill the jar of 24 hours with all the rocks. Once you put the rocks, you will see that in between, like you started with the most important task, in between you have some time there. You can utilize that time with the pebbles, the quadrant first, which the activities which comes in quadrant first. Second, you can go with that. Put on those things in the jar. Once you do that, come to the quadrant third, that is the sand. Start filling the activities of quadrant third. And lastly, go with the quadrant 4, not so important, not so urgent activity, and still you will see that you could manage to give some time to those activities. Now, this is the sequence which you need to follow for your life also. Right now, I have just related this with 24 hours of a day, just one day. But this is what you need to follow for your entire life. You need to fill the jar with your most important goals of the life. What you want to be, what you want to achieve, your career goals, your personal goals, how to maintain relationship, your relationship goals. You have to fill the jar with those things first. Then comes the things which are not important but urgent. Fill the jar with those things. Then comes the materialistic thing, that is the sand. If you have space, then start filling that sand in that jar, and then the water. The jar represents your life. The rock represents the most important thing that have real value, your health, family, partner. Those things that if everything else was lost and only they remain, your life would still be meaningful. This says if these rock remains, all other things are gone out from your life. If you have only these things in your life, still your life will have value. Rest all the things you can get if you have these with you. But if you don't have time for these, if you lose these things in your life, you will end up getting nothing in your life. So make sure you fill your jar, your life jar, with the rocks first, that is your health, family, your partner. Then comes the pebbles. Pebbles represent the thing in your life that matters, but that you could live without. Those things matter, but still you can manage to live without them. The pebbles are certain things that gives you life meaning, but they are not critical for you to have a meaningful life. These things often come and go and not permanent or essential to your overall well-being. Now, here you might be thinking that I have not used the career. Career is something which comes in quadrant second, that will be built, it will not be built. Okay, sometimes you are on very great high, you're touching the sky. Sometimes you're just standing on the ground. If you're standing on the ground, that is also okay. So that is rock. Rock, it comes when you are just fulfilling the basic requirement that should be fulfilled. Next comes is the sand and water. Represents everything else, the small stuff, material possession, chores, filling things such as watching television, browsing social media sites. These things does not mean much to your life as a whole and are likely only done to get small tasks accomplished or even to fill time. So these are the least important things. And believe me, even if you will put 24 hours of your day with some specific tasks, still somewhere you will find time for this sand and water, for these not so important tasks. Somewhere you will find time, 10 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hour, you will get that. But if you start your day doing these things, taking these things as your priority, you will never get that rocks and pebbles work accomplished. You won't be able to fulfill your to-do list, your journal, if you start with the sand and water first. I hope the story, the jar represents your life, and the rock, pebble, sand, water story is very much clear with all of you, and how it is related to effective time management. Okay. So here we are going to see the metaphor here is that if you start with putting sand into the jar, you will not have room for rocks and pebbles. That's what I say. If you start with sand and water, there will be no space, no room left for your rocks and pebbles. That is the urgent, important task will be on your side, will keep on adding, and you won't ever get time to finish off that. This holds true with the things you let into your life. This is really true. Just try to apply this in your life and you will see great results coming out of that. Now, we have been discussing about 4 quadrants. Then we have studied about procrastination. Then we studied about 80-20 rule of time management. This story is something which is related to all those rules. It is related to the doing the important, that is 80% tasks, which 80% success, which accumulates to 20% work. It is practical possible even that there also. So make sure you are using this jar, the jar of your life, where you are giving the best results. If you spend all your time on the small and insufficient thing, you will run out of room for the things that are actually important. Don't run out of the time, don't run out of the things. If you will follow this in your life, if you will start with the rock first and end up with the sand and water, you will get best and good results in your life. So this is something which is related to effective time management, how you can effectively manage your time. There is one more example which we can discuss, that is chunk, block, and tackle. Chunk: break large project into specific tasks that can be completed in less than 15 minutes. Always make sure that you are breaking the tasks which are big into small things. Like, for example, if you have target of 1 hour, you have to complete 5 pages in 1 hour. Break that, make it 1 page in 15 minutes. So this is how you can see that yes, you are achieving something, you are seeing some result. So Chunk says, break your large project into specific tasks that can be completed into less than 15 minutes. Block out set time to complete specific chunks as early in the day as possible. Now, when you have made those chunks, when you have divided your big project into small things consuming 15 days, now your next target is to block out set time, to block out some time of the day which you are taking out to finish off that work as soon as possible, that chunk as soon as possible. Tackle. Now, tackle the specific task, focusing only on this task rather than the project as whole. Now, here, when you are doing that work, when you are finishing off that chunk in that block time, make sure you are just focusing on finishing off the task rather than focusing on the entire task. When you're doing that specific task, that 15 minutes work, don't think that, oh, this is only small part, I have to achieve that. No, your only target is you just have to see that work, you just have to finish that specific task only. You don't have to look into the entire task, your entire work. For example, if you have to prepare a presentation, for presentation you have divided the work. The first work is just searching on for the content. So now be specific to that. Don't plan what is the content, how, what is going to be the sequence. No, you already have the heading that these 5 things I need. Just focus on searching the content for those 5 related things. Once you search the content, once you have the content, then go to the second chunk. The second chunk is filter the content. Now, once the second chunk is done, you have filtered the content. Go to the third task, that is prepare your presentation. Now, when you prepare the presentation, then go with the content making, and the final thing is just going through the entire content in one go. So that here it says chunk, block, and tackle. First, break the task into small, block the time to complete that work, and tackle that situation. Don't let that entire big project enter into that block time. If you are making that project to enter into that block time, then what's the use of dividing the work? Tell me, if you want to think of the whole project, what's the use of dividing that? It is as simple as you are cutting the apple into 4 different pieces and you want to eat all the 4 pieces together. So if you wanted to do that, was there any use of cutting that apple into 4 different pieces? No. You have divided that apple into 4 different pieces so that you can eat that thing one by one and finish it off. Same way, when we are asking you to break the large project into specific tasks, into small tasks that can be achieved in 15 to 20 minutes, that means focus on that. When you are eating that one apple, do you think that, no, let me take second and put that also in my mouth? No, you will finish off that. Then you'll move to the second thing. Same way, finish off that specific task, then move to the next task. This thing is not only going to motivate you, it is also going to help you to measure your success, where you stand right now, how far you are from your ultimate task, from your borderline, from your finish line. So this is going to even build your boost your confidence, keep you motivated, and you will feel happy and satisfied by the end of the day if you think you have achieved those tasks. Task looks to be very small, but when you achieve that, the happiness, the satisfaction, and the motivation which it gives is very big. So these were the 2 different stories which you can apply in how to manage your time effectively and efficiently. These things play a very important role in effective management of your time. As we have been reading these quotation again and again, which we are going to read today also. that time isn't the main thing, it's the only thing. Miles Davis. He says that time is not the main thing, it is not the main ingredient, it is the only ingredient, it is the only thing of which you have to keep in mind. So make sure you are utilizing your time effectively, efficiently, and giving the best output. It says it is not enough to be busy. The question is, what are we busy about? People keep on saying we are busy, we are busy, we are busy. But is their business worth it? Are they giving that satisfactory results? In what they are busy? Are they busy? People who are talking for us, they keep on complaining we don't have time. Where is your time? We have been talking to our friend for 1 hour, for 1.5 or 2 hours. We have been scrolling down the Facebook. Come on, that is not being busy. That is not giving your life any meaning. Busy means when you are bringing something out of the time. The time you are investing in something is giving you some returns. That means you are busy. You are generating something. You are doing something. You are working for something. If you don't have answer for the work you have done, that what are we busy about? What did we do? If you don't have the answer for this, that simply means you were not busy. You were just passing on your time. So with this, we have finished how to maximize your productive general, how you can maximize, how you can get the best result from your productive general. So using these two stories, you can use your time effectively, efficiently, getting the best result in that 24 hours. Make sure whosoever it is, a person earning 10,000, a person earning 10,000 a month, and person earning 10,000 in a day, both the people have same hours, but it depends on what they are investing, how they are utilizing the time, and giving best from their time, getting best from their time. So with this, we have finished with the session of time management for today. If any doubts you have, you can come up to that, or else if no doubts are there, we can wind up the session. Okay, no doubts? Okay, then we'll see you tomorrow with the next 5 sessions lined up for tomorrow. Bye-bye, take care.